In the first on point, we look at how serious Anil Chauhan has busted Pakistan's narrative on Operation Sindoor by putting the focus on outcomes, not losses. In the second on point, we look at Assam CM Himanta Biswa Sarma's pointed rebuttal of Pakistan's false narrative on the Brahmaputra river. In the third on point, we look at how India's defense imports mix makes us independent of both Russia and other countries. And now let's take a quick look at the headlines. Karnataka High Court wraps actor Kamal Haasan over Kannada language remarks. Hearing adjourned to June 10th. Refusing to apologize, Kamal Haasan halts release of his movie Thug Life in Karnataka. Indian Army and Assam Rifles ramp up flood rescue operations in Manipur. Delhi CM Rekha Gupta launches a pollution mitigation plan. 2025 says clean and healthy Delhi is a government's dream. BJP's Annamalai alleges DMK is shielding key accused in Anna University sexual assault case. Union Minister Piyush Goyal meets France's Minister Delegate for Foreign Trade in Paris. Belgian embassy employee puts up wanted posters with Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu in Delhi. Police submit detailed report to MHA. India's active COVID-19 cases crossed the 4,000 mark. Most cases in Kerala, followed by Maharashtra, Gujarat and Delhi. At least 27 Palestinians killed near Gaza. 8 side UN demands investigation. Chief of Defence Staff Anil Chauhan in a lecture busted the Pak narrative once again. He spoke on multiple issues related to Operation Sindoor. The foremost point he made was that the losses in war are not important but outcomes. He spoke in reference to Pak media push that they downed a number of Rafales. Chauhan did not get into the detail but made a very pertinent point. He said quick correction was made that resulted in a massive strike that brought Pakistan down to its knees. So let me take you through some war truths which General Chauhan was trying to bring home. In World War II, Allies lost 91,000 planes. Axis power lost 70,569 planes. Allies lost 1,85,87,000 soldiers. Axis power lost only 59 lakh soldiers, but Allies won the World War II. In 1971, India lost 59 aircrafts, Pakistan lost 43 aircrafts. India captured the Haji Pir Pass and broke Pakistan into two. So who won? India won. Now let me play out the bite of General Chauhan.
I think it's a professional force that is not affected by setbacks or kind of losses, if you may say. Because in war, what is important is, even if there are setbacks, you need to maintain your morale. That morale is to remain high. And then, of course, is adaptability. That is an important constituent of a very professional force. You should be able to understand what went wrong, rectify your mistakes and go out again. I think that is important for any kind of a professional force. And third is, I think, the offensive spirit. As an organization, you must have that offensive spirit in spite of the initial setbacks. You can't sit down in fear. And as an individual, you should not have any kind of fear. And you should be able to display a high tempo of operations. That is a hallmark of a professional force, and that's a kind of a thing which we displayed. And what I said, that in a couple of my interviews that losses are not important. It's the outcome which is important.
Let's listen into Rahul Gandhi, who had a diametrically different view of the operation.
बीजेपी आरएसएस वालों को अब मैं अच्छी तरह जानता हूं. इन पर थोड़ा सा दबाव डालो, थोड़ा सा धक्का मारो, डर के भाग जाते हैं ये लोग. जैसे उधर से ट्रंप ने एक इशारा किया, फोन उठाया, कहा मोदी जी क्या कर रहे हो? नरेंद्र सरेंडर. और जी हजूर करके नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने ट्रंप के इशारे का पालन किया. आपको एक समय याद होगा जब फोन कॉल नहीं आया था, 7th फ्लीट आई थी, 71 की लड़ाई में 7th फ्लीट आई थी, हथियार आए थे, एयरक्राफ्ट कैरियर आया था. इंदिरा गांधी जी ने कहा मुझे कुछ जो करना है मैं करूंगी.
I'm joined by Lieutenant General Vinod Bhatia, former DGMO, Indian Army, and Major General SBS Thana, author, Director, USI, and former DG Infantry. I welcome both of you. I really don't want to get into the politics of Rahul Gandhi because my focus will remain on what General Chauhan has said. But I just played out the bite of the leader of opposition that the politics on Operation Sindoor continues. But sir, let me straight away go to General Bhatia. Please decode for our viewers when he said, when it comes to military operation, outcomes are more important than losses. That's my first question. How do we decode this for our viewers? Not losses, but outcomes.
For a military commander, what is important is achieving the politico-military objectives and end state. And the politico-military objectives and end state of Operation Sindoor was categorical. It was clear to raise the cost and consequences of Pakistan terror and to carry out punitive and preemptive operations. That is punitive on account of the Pahalgam terror attack and preemptive by targeting the terror camps. At the same time, it is important for India to ensure escalation control and remain on top. So, if you look at the operation, we have achieved the political end state and the military objectives. And as a student of warfare and student of military history, world over, they will be studying this operation for its precision, for its sharp execution, and for its swift culmination of aims. Now, let me also give you two more things on this. What General Chauhan, the CDS, said, he's a very experienced soldier. He's been an army commander, he's been a co-commander, he's the Director General Military Operations. Granted to him. You see, when you talk of principles of war, two major principles of war are selection and maintenance of aim. Right? And the second is surprise. In this particular case, you look at it, selection and maintenance of aim was achieved right from the word go till cessation of hostilities, though temporary. And surprise. From 23rd April, after Pahalgam, it was clear that India will strike Pakistan. And the Prime Minister said so in Bihar. Right? So we had no strategic surprise, we had no operational surprise, and no tactical surprise. And when the surprise is not there, the adversary is totally prepared, there will be losses, and losses should be accepted. We'll have to accept it because there will be losses. In any war, there will be losses. But the point still remains, how do you measure success? By the achievement of the political end state and the military objectives, which I think was done in a very big way. Now, if you look at it, everybody is talking about losses. Losses will be there in war. You rightly pointed out the amount of losses which suffered by the Allies and the Axis and the 71 war. In every war, look at Kargil. Why go so far? Look at Kargil. We had 543 who made the Supreme Secretary and the 11 odd injured. But we recaptured the Kargil heights.
Absolutely.
If you were to only look at losses, I think there will be no wars thereafter. We will not need anyway.
I think that message needs to go down to. I think that message also needs to go down to the civilian population in form of an education, yes, that there is a military perspective and things are looked from a different point of view. Now, General Chauhan also said that the Operation Sindoor was one of the first non-contact war that India fought. Let me play out that bite.
So what did we see? Did we see elements of this or green shoots of this in Operation Sindoor? Yes, and to us, I would say that this was the kind of first non-contact warfare which we fought. We didn't see each other. We saw it as either at radars or at different ranges, except for what was happening on the line of control. And it was mix of kinetic and non-kinetic. When I say non-kinetic, that happened in the information domain, that happened in the cyber domain, and of course there was a kinetic operation where destruction was being caused to each other. It was also non-linear in nature. So there's something happening on the line of control and something happening as far back as Noor Khan or Sargodha. So at huge distances from the border, simultaneously, non-linearity. It was networked, means at least the defensive part of it. You must have read about it, that we had networked our air defense architecture of the Air Force and the Army and the maritime air defense architecture, Trigun, Akash Tir and IACCS, so that they could give one comprehensive kind of a picture. So you can provide a layered kind of a drone.
So the question is, General Asthana, are we looking at contactless wars? And this statement has come in wake of what Ukraine has done deep inside Russian territory 24 hours ago. I mean to say, they have struck the Russian strategic bomber fleet. So is this a new reality when it comes to Indian military realism, sir?
See, in the warfare of today has matured from purely military to a warfare in which all elements of power, all elements of national power are used. And if you compare our operations, surgical strike was a single instrument of war, that was military was used, and so was Balakot. But the moment when we came on to this particular Op Sindoor, we started off with the non-kinetic war in a manner that the IWT was held in abeyance. So that's a non-kinetic action, which involves the economic war also. So obviously trade was cut off and the economic strangulation efforts were made. Similarly, all other kinds of warfare also started simultaneously, which also included the contact war, contact kinetic war. So when we talk of the contact kinetic war, these were the actions where we destroyed their terror camps as well as the air bases and radar systems. So this is the new normal as far as these warfares are concerned. Now let me comment on some of the points which you mentioned earlier as far as this warfare is concerned. See, the success in any operation in military terms is gauged by what was your aim and what did you achieve. The aim was very clear, that to give the message very clearly that okay, terror and their sponsors can be struck anywhere in Pakistan. Was that done? The answer is yes. Secondly, once they retaliated, the aim was very clear that if you retaliate, we will demonstrate a capability to take on military targets anywhere in Pakistan territory. Was that done? It was done. So therefore, the success is measured by these two things. As far as the losses are concerned, the losses are integral part of an operation. When you fight an operation, there is no operation where you will not have losses.
Absolutely.
So therefore, as far as you don't plan operations and count on the losses. Similarly, like some of these statements which have been unnecessarily played up, we do learn lessons. You take the case of Russia-Ukraine war. Initially, they were fighting in built-up areas with much shortage of infantry. Subsequently, after 2 years, they realized that they need to have a viable defense line, which they created. They moved the other side. They moved back other side of Dnieper River and created a viable defense line. And thereafter, their offensive have been marvelous. They have captured so much of territory. So therefore, what happens is that this involvement is there, involvement of operations. So that is how I think General Chauhan has been describing that. Now, as far as our operations are concerned, certainly we have done fantastically well as far as, but at the same time, there is another dimension of warfare, and that is the information warfare and the battle of narratives. Now, in that, I must say that we need to learn a lot and we need to do a little more for the simple reason, because we have tremendous amount of media capability where we have vibrant media, we have hell of a lot of media resources, and if we channelized, then perhaps we could have had a better narrative, which I'm sure people who are responsible would be thinking of making out information warfare strategy of some kind.
Absolutely.
In which we understand as to how we can synergize the narrative.
Absolutely. You're right, sir. You're right. The narrative war has become integral to the military operation. But there is also another point which General Chauhan made, and that was India was able to call Pakistan's nuclear bluff. Now, a lot of experts are of the view that the Pakistan's nuclear bluster is a rational plan by rational actors who want to showcase irrationality to draw in the international community for intervention. Let me play out the bite.
Operation Sindoor, as far as the government is concerned, is not about retribution. I think it was about drawing its limits of tolerance, thus and no far. So, this state-sponsored terrorism from Pakistan had to stop, and Pakistan should not be able to hold hostage India to terror activities. And of course, it was also said that India is not going to live under the shadow of terror and neither nuclear blackmail.
So, General Bhatia, my question is, a very pointed question, sir. Has India created strategic space for strong conventional operation or strong conventional action through Operation Sindoor this time?
Yes, I think we have created the space, and the signal very categorical, and the Prime Minister's speech was very clear about it, that nuclear blackmail, nuclear rhetoric is not a factor anymore in punishing Pakistan for terror activities. This has been going on for too long. You know, Pakistan has carried out terror attacks with impunity, not only in Jammu and Kashmir, but all over the country, whether it was Delhi, it was Mumbai, it was Bangalore, you name it, it was there. And there's under the nuclear umbrella, because we are a nuclear nation. That was the first thing they would say. Even a small incident of the line of control, and they would say, we are a nuclear nation, nuclear armed nation. That's fine. But today, that has been categorically taken away, that factor of nuclear umbrella. And we have said that we'll come and hit you, and terror will be replied by punitive and preemptive operations. So that is a fact now which Pakistan has to understand and reconcile. But we also have to see, we need to adapt to new ways of punishing Pakistan in the planetary domain at least. Of course, in the economic domain, the diplomatic domain will continue. But every time you see 2016 September was a different sort of operation. 2019 Jabba Tops presidential was different, and this was totally different. So we need to adapt, and we got to look ahead. We cannot be fighting the last war. So we'll have to look and see, because I don't think Pakistan will not cross the red line, but he will definitely try and test our resolve given some time. And when it does that, we should respond again in a measured response, raising the cost, because this iteration will go on one to two more times. And if we continue to do that, we will change Pakistan's behavior towards terror and towards India.
Okay, now let me come to the last segment, the person who is actually responsible for the entire chain of events. I'm talking about Field Marshal Asim Munir. Now, Serious Chauhan also spoke about Asim Munir's statement before the Pahalgam attack. Let me play out that bite, and then I'll ask this question to General Asthana.
Venom was spewed by General Asim Munir against India and Hindus. Speech just few days or weeks before what happened in Pahalgam. So, since this is a regional distance, it can be also, I believe, that retracted. Because now Pakistan is faced with a different kind of a prospect, that he faces military action in case we find terror happening against us. And also we said that we'll have water as well as, this thing will not flow together. So we have kind of raised the bar. We have connected terror to water, and we have drawn out the new lines for military operations.
So my question, General Asthana, is Asim Munir has become a permanent player like Xi Jinping and Putin. He's a field marshal in Pakistan after Ayub Khan. So my question is, how can India tackle him, and can Operation Sindoor last for a very long time? Because he becomes a permanent player. We are a democracy. The governments will change here. Nothing will change in Moscow. Nothing is going to change in Beijing. Nothing is going to change in Pyongyang, dictatorships, undemocratic societies, even Pakistan. So how do we deal with such players, sir?
Dealing with such player is that every time he breaks the line, you will have to deliver a blow. And this is going to happen, and that is why I think very appropriately our political leaders have very clearly said that Operation Sindoor is not yet over, giving them a little bit of idea that we are ready to retaliate the next one as well, should you decide to launch a terror attack. Number one. Number two, Asim Munir will also get some lessons. As was being mentioned, I must highlight that. Till the time we launched the kinetic operation, all the Pakistani leaders were mentioning that if you do this, we will go nuclear. And they were all referring to the nuclear threat, which they feel that was there, because they have a strategy which is called as, in that strategy, their option is that we will start the proxy war, and from proxy war we will graduate to the nuclear option. But the fact is that the moment we launched the kinetic operation, after that, not a single politician and military leader of Pakistan has talked about the nuclear option, because the bluff has been called. So we have created a space, and the bluff has been called very clearly that we are not bothered about the nuclear so-called threat and nuclear blackmail. The USA may buy their story, but we are not going to buy that story. And secondly, we are mentally prepared as well. It's not that we have a viable second strike capability, and we know that the way the bombardment has taken place, whether by design or by default, but the fact is the bombardment indicates that if India is determined, it can take on their nuclear assets, number one. And number two, the kind of technological demonstration which India has done. That means that because no nuclear weapon is in the prepared stage. So if they start assembling the nuclear weapon, we'll get signals, and we will strike the delivery system as well as the warhead. Secondly, even if, let's say, hypothetically, they are able to assemble the two together, then the delivery system can also be taken on while it is in the air, while it is still on the other side of line of control. Now, these are the capabilities which we have demonstrated. So therefore, we have, I think, nuclear bluff has been called off. Similarly, as far as the terror actions, they will continue. It's not that, I'm being absolutely practical. It's not that Asim Munir's jihadi mindset will change overnight. It will not.
No, that's where I was absolutely. That's where I was coming, sir. I'll take the closing comment from General Bhatia, because Munir is a blue-blooded product of Ziaul Haq's politics, which has reshaped Pakistan, and that's the fact of the matter. So my question to you, sir, is that the psych profile of people in top military positions, top political positions, do matter with the sort of action they take. It mattered for Ziaul Haq, it mattered when Musharraf was in power. So what is the biggest challenge dealing with this gentleman, Asim Munir, the man who has become the field marshal?
The history of Pakistan is very clear. All the dictators have come to grief later on. Whether it's Yahya Khan, Ayub Khan, Pervez Musharraf, and similar things going to happen to Asim Munir also, because they cannot sustain it. You cannot fool the Pakistani people.
But he's a radical jihadi, sir.
Yes, radical jihadi, fine. So, but the people, in the end, it's the well-being of the people. Today, if you look at Pakistan today is militarily weak, economically weak, it is domestically weak, it's politically weak. Okay, so if you look at Pakistan now, how far can radicalization and Islam hold on to the people? In the end, the people have already revolted against Munir. It was 9th of May 2024 when they burned down the house of the Lahore Corps commander. It has never happened in Pakistan, never happened in any country earlier. So the Pakistani army is being lured by it's a balloon way to go down. The higher Munir go, the harder he'll fall. Look at history. That is history, and it is a selected government. It's not an elected government. He's supporting the government has no choice because it's a selected government. But then there are people, there are voices within Pakistan, there are sane voices in Pakistan which are already speaking up, and there is a lot of activity happening.
But sir, that is where the problem is. People say that nations have armies, but Pakistan is a place where army has a state and a nation. That is where the problem.
How long things are changing?
That is where the problem is. I've really run short of time, sir. Thank you both of you for joining my show and for the deep perspective on this issue that you have provided me. So this was on point one. In the second on point, we'll look at how Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma busted Pakistan's lie on the Brahmaputra river, but after a short break.
मम्मी से नो अंडा इन समर। अंडा तो हर सीजन में सुपर हिट है।
सुपरस्टार है ये, सर्दी हो या गर्मी, संडे हो या मंडे, जो पहले से चल रहा है वही लगाना था।
इनको जमाने से पीछे